D. Clark Harris Incorporated, founded in 1991 by Dorothy Harris, provides program, project, and construction management services. Do you know exactly what happens to your water before and after you use it? Many find out after attending their award-winning educational program at the Johns Creek Environmental Campus. Over 50,000 visitors have experienced millions of gallons of water going through the actual process and learned exactly what happens to their water. The program offers lectures, tours, activities, and internships educating on the various technologies and processes. This is just one of over $1.2 billion in projects. D. Clark Harris, for your program, project, and construction management needs.
At Peachtree Orthopedics, we've been helping Atlantans feel better faster for over 65 years. With 8 convenient locations and same-day and Saturday appointments, you'll be enjoying life in no time. Come in today and let us help you feel better faster.
Right now, as cities prepare for the future of mobility, we are here. We're reimagining everything from the ground up. By rethinking the future of transportation, we are here to create the community that's important to you, to all of us.
Hello, I'm Michael Hightower, Managing Partner of the collaborative firm and founder and convener of South Metro Development Outlook. Yes, we are so excited about this year's conference, so join us on March the 18th for the 19th annual SMDO. And yes, we will be virtual. Our theme this year is SMDO 21 Moving Beyond. Before I preview the conference, I must thank our present and past sponsors for their support. Especially this year, I want to start by thanking and recognizing our presenting sponsor, the Development Authority of Fulton County, and they really stepped up during these times. So thank you to the Development Authority of Fulton County for stepping up during these challenging times to make sure this conference can be provided to our citizens. In addition, Georgia Power and Elevate Douglas are our premier sponsors, so thank you to those entities. SMDO 21 Moving Beyond will be a great event which will include acknowledgement of our many frontline warriors in the healthcare industry, firefighters, public safety employees, those heroes who've served us. Also, the retail food industry and logistics and supply chain. Our annual virtual SMDO 21 conference on March 18th will be focused on successful South Metro businesses and corporations that have continued to thrive in these economic times, but also a special focus on small businesses, those businesses who have provided excellent service and reinvented themselves during these times. They've also provided some best practices that we'll highlight. In addition, during the conference, we will also focus on transportation and aviation, logistics in South Metro, which plays a significant role in this economy, our annual economic forecast, which allows the blueprint for business sustainability in the future and this year. In closing, given the challenges with COVID-19, this year's virtual conference will provide valuable information for our attendees as we move forward and beyond. As we turn the corner from COVID-19 and move beyond the pandemic, we are going to be ready for the days ahead. Join us on March 18th. Yes, SMDO 21, Moving Beyond.
At Georgia Power, we believe a house is more than just a home. It's the foundation for a future. That's why our employees volunteer thousands of hours of their own time to build and repair homes with Habitat for Humanity. After all, what we do off the grid is just as important as the clean, safe, reliable, affordable energy we provide on it. And that's a different kind of energy.
Welcome to the Top CEOs of Technology Symposium, hosted by the ATL Airport Chamber. I am Carmen Lita Scott, President and CEO of the ATL Airport Chamber. As with many of you, the Chamber is working within the parameters of the new normal. We are operating effectively under adverse economic conditions, displaying our progressive attributes, and maximizing the opportunities to assist our constituents in every situation. Our energy and enthusiasm allow us to sustain a high level of momentum that permits the Chamber to provide excellent programming for our members and visitors. Our work also comes with a warning label. To quote our board chair, Artie Jones, "Do not sleep on the South Side." Technology is playing an essential role in the new normal. While some companies are experiencing a thirst for knowledge in this area, others are conquering their learning curve in using video conferencing platforms. It is fascinating to watch other organizations take this opportunity to pivot and employ the latest technology necessary to gain a competitive edge. Today, the Chamber is applying technology to bring our members and visitors together in a virtual environment to learn through an assemblage of Atlanta's tech luminaries how Atlanta is making a statement as the next Silicon Valley, and Georgia is progressing to the technology capital of the East Coast. So, without further ado, I will turn the virtual mic over to our wonderful event sponsors at D. Clark Harris, Georgia Power, HNTB, Peachtree Orthopedics, the Collaborative Firm, and the Thornton Media Group.
D. Clark Harris Incorporated, founded in 1991 by Dorothy Harris, provides program, project, and construction management services. Do you know exactly what happens to your water before and after you use it? Many find out after attending their award-winning educational program at the Johns Creek Environmental Campus. Over 50,000 visitors have experienced millions of gallons of water going through the actual process and learned exactly what happens to their water. The program offers lectures, tours, activities, and internships educating on the various technologies and processes. This is just one of over $1.2 billion in projects. D. Clark Harris, for your program, project, and construction management needs.
At Peachtree Orthopedics, we've been helping Atlantans feel better faster for over 65 years. With 8 convenient locations and same-day and Saturday appointments, you'll be enjoying life in no time. Come in today and let us help you feel better faster.
Right now, as cities prepare for the future of mobility, we are here. We're reimagining everything from the ground up. By rethinking the future of transportation, we are here to create the community that's important to you, to all of us.
Hello, I'm Michael Hightower, Managing Partner of the Collaborative Firm and founder and convener of South Metro Development Outlook. Yes, we are so excited about this year's conference, so join us on March the 18th for the 19th Annual SMDO. And yes, we will be virtual. Our theme this year is SMDO 21 Moving Beyond. Before I preview the conference, I must thank our present and past sponsors for their support. Especially this year, I want to start by thanking and recognizing our presenting sponsor, the Development Authority of Fulton County, and they really stepped up during these times. So thank you to the Development Authority of Fulton County for stepping up during these challenging times to make sure this conference can be provided to our citizens. In addition, Georgia Power and Elevate Douglas are our premier sponsors, so thank you to those entities. SMDO 21 Moving Beyond will be a great event which will include acknowledgement of our many frontline warriors in the healthcare industry, firefighters, public safety employees, those heroes who've served us. Also, the retail food industry and logistics and supply chain. Our annual virtual SMDO 21 conference on March 18th, we will focus on successful South Metro businesses and corporations that have continued to thrive in these economic times, but also a special focus on small businesses, those businesses who have provided excellent service and reinvented themselves during these times. They've also provided some best practices that we'll highlight. In addition, during the conference, we will also focus on transportation and aviation, logistics in South Metro, which plays a significant role in this economy, our annual economic forecast, which allows the blueprint for business sustainability in the future and this year. In closing, given the challenges with COVID-19, this year's virtual conference will provide valuable information for our attendees as we move forward and beyond. As we turn the corner from COVID-19 and move beyond the pandemic, we are going to be ready for the days ahead. Join us on March 18th. Yes, SMDO 21, moving beyond.
At Georgia Power, we believe a house is more than just a home. It's the foundation for a future. That's why our employees volunteer thousands of hours of their own time to build and repair homes with Habitat for Humanity. After all, what we do off the grid is just as important as the clean, safe, reliable, affordable energy we provide on it. And that's a different kind of energy.
Our first speaker this afternoon is Dr. Victoria Seals, President of Atlanta Technical College and board member of the ATL Airport Chamber.
Dr. Victoria Seals is the 6th president of Atlanta Technical College. Under her leadership, the college has launched several student success incentives, established effective industry partnerships, and continues to grow in enrollment and in student achievement, boasting a 99% job placement rate. Dr. Seals has more than 20 years of experience in higher education and 18 years of experience in higher education leadership. Prior to attaining the presidency at Atlanta Technical College, Dr. Seals served several years at Gwinnett Technical College. She advanced from instructor to division director, dean, and ultimately the vice president of academic affairs. Dr. Seals is a member of Atlanta Regional Commission Regional Leadership Institute Class of 2019, Leadership Atlanta's Class of 2018, Leadership Gwinnett's Class of 2011, as well as the 2013 Class of Technical College Systems of Georgia's Executive Leadership Academy. She's an active member of the American Association of Community Colleges, Association of Community College Trustees, Technical Association of Georgia, Women in Educational Leadership, and the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. She serves on the board of directors of the ATL Airport Chamber and as a board member with the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, Horizons Atlanta, the Aerotropolis Atlanta Workforce Collective, and WorkSource Atlanta, in addition to board service with the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce. She also chaired the Chamber's 2019 Economic Development Committee. The Atlanta Business Chronicle featured Dr. Seals among Who's Who in Education in 2017 and 2020, and recently named her as one of Atlanta's most admired CEOs. She has garnered several awards that highlight her leadership, including the 2020 ACCT Southern Region CEO Award and the Atlanta Business League's Top 100 Women of Influence for the last 3 years. Dr. Seals was named Educator of the Year in 2017 by the South Fulton Chamber and was recognized by Europe Atlanta that same year with the Urban Empowerment Award. Dr. Seals was also honored by the Urban League of Greater Atlanta at its 56th Annual Opportunity Day in 2017. Dr. Seals received a BS in Mathematics from Spelman College. She continues her studies at the University of Georgia, where she received an MA in Mathematics, an EDS in Mathematics Education, and her EDD in Educational Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Victoria Seals, President of Atlanta Technical College, where dreams come true.
It is my pleasure to greet you on behalf of the more than 6,000 students and 500 faculty and staff who comprise the Atlanta Technical College community. These are exciting times in the life of Atlanta Technical College as we celebrate more than 50 years of educational service in the metropolitan Atlanta area, and as we expand our presence in the global community. With workforce development as our mission, we are committed to success for our students and for the communities that we serve. We focus on rigorous academic preparation and leading-edge applied technology so that our students leave our campus ready for work. The vision of Atlanta as the next Silicon Valley, an area which by definition is a global center for technology and innovation, is not new to Atlanta Technical College. Our vision is to transform the lives of our students, faculty, staff, and community through the power of technical education. We are preparing our students to be agents of change, and as the college is positioned to be a driving force in the metropolitan area and its growth. As our partners in the Atlanta community, our business is preparing your workforce, upskilling those currently employed, and preparing and training those that you will hire. In addition to supporting existing and established businesses, we are fully committed in our support of new business and industry as they join our community. For each of our business partners and for each of our students, we bring preparation and opportunity together with the goals of personal and community development and progression. Despite the challenges of these past months, our students are stronger than ever. They have clearly been able to link their imaginations to the realities of how they learn, and in turn, how they will succeed in the reimagined world of work. A world informed by social and political movements and populated by people wearing masks and PPE. During academic year 2020, we graduated nearly 1,900 students and awarded more than 3,000 technical certificates of credit, diplomas, and degrees with a 99% job placement rate. We are graduating students and putting them to work in high-demand careers that make meaningful contribution to their families and their communities. Our work is especially critical now when 52% of our graduates have entered the workforce as essential workers. 14% are in health professionals, 27% are in industrial technologies and skilled trades, and 11% are in IT-related fields. We are the supply chain for the front lines. In 2019, and in partnership with the City of Atlanta and the Atlanta Committee for Progress, we launched the Atlanta Technical College Center for Workforce Innovation. With inaugural partners Delta, the Home Depot, Intercontinental Exchange, Georgia Power, and SunTrust, now Truist, we prepare an additional 200 students for careers in IT, skilled trades, and aviation. Additionally, our work with Georgia Power is growing. We have installed a pole yard on our campus for the new line worker program, and we enrolled our second cohort this semester. Additionally, this year, we are scaling the initiative across all programs and have joined with new partners, AT&T and Bank of America, to further enhance our efforts in the IT fields. Yes, we are here to support the region's claim as the next Silicon Valley. It was physics professor William Pollard who said, "Learning and innovation go hand in hand." The intersection of learning and innovation is at the core of Atlanta Technical College and how we do business. It is what we call the Atlanta Tech Effect, our reimagined approach to industry partnerships and connecting our students to well-paying careers. Technology has made critical changes in the world and how we travel through it. Especially now with the pandemic, we are learning, working, and connecting remotely, relying on technology to bring us together and to work and to create across global landscape. At the same time, personal connections that we make along life's pathways are the critical threads that connect us in the global community. Our goal at Atlanta Technical College is to guide students and employers down paths that will converge not only in the virtual and physical classroom and on the job, but also in service to our collective growth and the advancement of the Metro Atlanta region. Thank you. I will now turn the virtual mic over to our moderators, Mehul Patel and Redrick Young of Peachtree Devs.
Thank you, Dr. Seals. The ATL Airport Chamber is spotlighting Atlanta's CEOs who are at the top of managing tech companies. The CEOs of these companies have mapped out technology strategies to achieve business revenue growth and are demonstrating strong leadership. These leaders will reveal the value that each company has gained during the pandemic. We're going to find out key takeaways from these highly regarded CEOs. So let's meet today's guests.
Stuart Chisholm is CEO of Hi-Res Studios, a multi-platform video game developer and a publisher with approximately 450 employees based in Alpharetta, Georgia. Chisholm joined Hi-Res in 2008. He led the teams that initially created Tribes and Smite before taking the president role in 2014. As president, he helped manage the company's growth as it scaled from less than 100 employees to over 450. In January 2019, Chisholm was named CEO, taking over from Erez Gorin, the company's founder. Prior to joining Hi-Res, Stuart spent 12 years in the enterprise software space as Chief Technology Officer of Blue Cube Software and subsequently Senior Vice President of Technology at Red Prairie Corporation. Stuart built the global hosting and support operations for software as a service merchandising and workforce management solution used by many of the world's largest retail and hospitality companies. At Radiant Systems, Stuart served in a variety of senior technical roles as the company expanded globally and grew from under $30 million in annual revenues to over $150 million. Stuart holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics from the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stuart Chisholm, CEO of Hi-Res Studios.
Hey Stuart, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. It's a cloudy day outside, but hey, we're making it.
Yeah, can't complain.
So, a question for you. How are you handling the shift in conducting business virtually, or were you progressing in this space already?
Yeah, initially, honestly, it was a big adjustment for us. We're a creative company. We got very accustomed to just being able to have a lot of spontaneous creative interactions by all working, in a close space together. So, as the pandemic happened and we started this shift 100% to work from home, there was a lot of learning for a month or two. I think it's made us better. I think it's allowed us to give our employees a lot more freedom, and I think it's also we found ways to still keep that creative spark, and the random interactions that can lead to creative innovation while still keeping everyone efficient from home.
Okay.
Cool. So I guess the main struggle was having maybe co-located teams, like maybe having designers and engineers and everybody together, kind of collaborating now, making that digital through a tool like Slack or something.
That's right. I think we made in terms of just like getting work done, I think we made probably a smoother transition than we would have anticipated. I think people were pretty instantly able to, for our type of work, get the work done from their house. I think, the biggest thing we struggled to replace for a while were just all of those random interactions that happen but lead to creative sparks or thoughts that help guide things a little more, without the same type of planning, right? And the break room conversations, things along those. I think it's, we spent a lot of time trying to build up a culture that, where we still have those meetings that are more, that are less planned on exactly what we're going to talk through, just to give people time to socialize and let creativity spark in that area. We use Slack and tools like that. Discord in the gaming space has been great for us. That's a communications tool that allows, our teams to really be on where they can reach each other by voice almost instantly when they need to, be quiet when they want to, and share their not only their screen but share like a gaming games which need to run at a high frame rate very efficiently. So we've adapted around the tools, and like I said, I think we're way better for it. Of course, we look forward to going back to work, but I think even when we do go back to work, we'll carry forward with a lot of the processes and additional freedom of letting people work from home that we figured out how to do during this time.
Nice. So you kind of touched on it. The next question was, we were going to ask what would be some common complaints that you kind of hear about technology that people are embracing now, during the pandemic. So you mentioned tools like Discord and Slack. Are there any other kind of technologies that you kind of have embraced to help with this transition?
Yeah, I mean, we're really heavy users of all of the Google apps in our company, which allow for real-time collaboration on Word documents and other tools. But I would say Slack and Discord have been probably the most important tools for us to really keep connected as a workforce, and to be able to collaborate very quickly and feel like we're in the same room. Even though we aren't. But it's, I think it's like I said before, I think we've all learned a lot. I think it's, you learn about Zoom fatigue, or, things along those lines. We all get kind of tired of smiling at our video cameras all day, but but I think it's actually been fantastic. And I think it has reshaped the way we'll work forever, I think.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. So you brought up the fact that, with everyone working from home, this change of pretty much the way we do things in the world in terms of technology, with the actual, say for instance, your employees are at home, like, do you consider technology to be disruptive for them in any particular type of way while they're at home?
I think it's the hardest part is knowing when to turn off. When you have a commute and you're going into the office, it's easy to kind of understand your turn off and turn off points in the day. And so I think it's making sure there are boundaries there for the employees, so that there's there's a chance to be turned off, to be away from work for a reasonable amount of time is super important for all of us to kind of recharge our batteries. I think, and obviously, different, if you have young children, if you have a noisy roommate, if you have there's lots of things where real life collides with our workspace in this new world, so and we've been able to keep 90-something% of our employee base working from home, and but that allows us to safely, if there are people that have personal situations that make it hard for them to get the space or the privacy or whatever to work from home, they can come into the office quite safely because we're because very few other people are in the office. So that's helped us in that regard.
Cool.
Nice. I know, like, for me personally, I work as a software engineer at AWS, and transitioning from part-time from home to full-time from home is definitely kind of like, as your point, that it's kind of hard to build those boundaries, where I feel like guilty if I'm not working every second of the day. Meanwhile, while I was at an office, it was kind of commonplace to just take a coffee break or go for a walk or something. But like, being at home, I personally felt like, oh, hey, I'm at home, but I need to be working. So I would work probably more than I normally would being in an office situation.
Yeah, and I used to I tell people, I used to get, like 2 or 3 miles of walking in a day when we were in the office, because we have a big office, and I would walk around and see everyone. And I realized too, it's really easy when you're working from home all day to just sit all day, so
Yeah.
Those, you don't realize when you're working in an office, those little breaks where you get up from your desk and you walk around or go get coffee, or go talk to someone quickly at their desk, or go to a meeting room. They're important to kind of recharge your batteries. So you have to find those same, ways to replace that in this new world, going for a walk or whatever it is. So yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah, in my case, I have my office, but in the other room is PlayStation 5, so I literally have to unplug it all day to make sure it doesn't disrupt me while
I like
I'm
that
ready
subtle
to go.
flex that you got a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
The good news with my business is, I have to turn the PlayStation 5 on, so that's part of So so I'm always,
Working and
games
playing.
at work, but yeah.
Living the dream. Awesome. So we kind of talked about the transition in 2020 into kind of the whole distributed workflow. So what are some of your goals for 2021 coming up?
Well, yeah, I mean, one, just on the workflow basis, I think it'll be interesting as we start to transition back to a world where work is work from the office for large numbers of people is viable again. In some interesting ways, I think it's actually, when everyone's working from home, it's a different set of challenges when some people are working from home and some people are working from the office, right? It's because it's kind of an equal playing space when everyone's working from home. Everyone's on the Zoom meeting, no one's in the room together. So I think figuring out in the new world of work, right, what is the right kind of hybrid approach to get the best of both worlds, I think will be a very interesting time for us to learn lots of new lessons. But that's what makes this space fun and what makes technology fun. So I think we're starting to look forward to and do a lot of planning on once the vaccine has been widely distributed and everything, that we can get back to work, but still take advantage of all these lessons we've learned.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a big year for us game-wise. So we have, Smite, Paladins, and Rogue Company are our big three games. So download them, PC, Xbox, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Up next, we have Joey Womack of Goody Nation.
Joey Womack's goal is to positively impact 1 billion people by the year 2039. Part superconnector, part startup coach. He is the founder and CEO of Goody Nation, a national support nonprofit that is closing the relationship gap for tech-focused social entrepreneurs and diverse founders, and the founder and CEO of Amplify for Good, a mission-driven agency that uses rapid problem-solving to help large companies, nonprofits, and government agencies create social impact. Since starting this journey in 2014, he's on pace to reach his goal by working with the likes of Care USA, Google, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Ford Motor Company, Coca-Cola, Google for Startups, United Negro College Fund, Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation, Village Capital, and the White House HBCU Incentive. Joey is also the co-founder of the Atlanta Black Tech Incentive, where he serves as the lead for the startups and K-12 divisions. Evident as a Hive global leader, inaugural White House Demo Day invitee, and outstanding Atlanta alumnus, he has been named a 2020 to 2021 game-changing founder of color by SoCap, one of Atlanta's 500 most powerful business leaders by Atlanta Magazine, received the Technology Association of Georgia Diversity in Tech Game Changer Award for Community Engagement and Equality Champion Award by Startup Atlanta, named one of the top 10 social entrepreneurs in Atlanta by Hippopotamus, featured in McDonald's Black Your Story campaign, recognized by PepsiCo as a champion for change, and Atlanta Magazine as part of the Atlanta 500, and listed by Huffington Post as one of the top 20 innovators in the Atlanta tech startup scene. Currently, he serves on the boards for Startup Atlanta, Venture Atlanta, and the Georgia Social Impact Collaborative, as well as advisory SXSW and SoCap Spectrum Conference. A rebel with a cause. At the leading edge of change, Joey was bitten by the entrepreneurial bug in 2002 when he launched digitalguestlist.com. As a graduate student at Florida A&M University, he grew the site to 80,000 users and advertised thousands of events for Fortune 500 companies, agencies, and high-profile promoters during special events like NBA All-Star Weekend, Super Bowl Weekend, and the Essence Music Festival. He also used forward-thinking digital marketing strategies to execute events in the Southeast for well-known brands such as Crown Royal and Warner Brothers. Joey received his MBA from Florida A&M University in the spring of 2003, where he was also initiated to Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. He has been named one of top 40 under 40 alumni and received received an outstanding alumni during FAMU's consequential 125th anniversary celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joey Womack, founder and CEO of Goody Nation.
I appreciate you coming through, spending time with us behind this desk, lovely desk today.
Look forward to this conversation and let's get this thing cracking.
Let's get it. I like the background you have. It's a nice little drop of Goody Nation. Shout out to Goody Nation.
There it is.
So let's get into it. In terms of experiences, do you hope to realize in the labor market because of your efforts of like how you can positively affect the tech industry?
Yeah. So for me, it's my life's goal to impact 1 billion people by the year 2039. I'm super serious about it, honestly. Mm-hmm. And here's how I look to make it happen. So I look to focus on either tech-focused social entrepreneurs or tech-focused diverse founders, so Black, Latinx, women founders. And so looking to help at least 100 of those founders help 10 million people apiece, again, by the year 2039. And so I see a world by then where every large tech company or even medium-sized tech company has an official policy to donate 2 hours of relationships. So that's, opening doors in terms of capital, in terms of customers, or advice for these type of founders. We found that these type of founders, again, social entrepreneurs that particularly don't live in coastal financial centers like New York or San Francisco, and also diverse founders are much less likely than their counterparts to know people from top colleges and universities, as well as those that work for top companies, particularly innovation roles. And so what this means is that they have much less robust networks to draw upon for capital, for customers, and for advice. And so it leads to a lot of stress. It leads to stalled professional development, which leads to, their potential going to waste. And so, by opening doors for these founders and developing deep human relationships with awesome people, I think we can fundamentally change the world and help, 1 billion people over the next 20 or so years.
Awesome. Yeah. So kind of the social capital side of venture capital, whereas maybe, even though Atlanta might not see as much capital, there's also kind of, like you mentioned, the lack of connections that people have. So having that kind of policy where we can kind of close the gap between the different technology communities and diverse communities in terms of how they can kind of work together to build new companies, build new ventures and programs.
Exactly.
So what do you see on, I guess, so that's kind of the social side of things. What do you see on the technology side of things? Do you, I guess, in terms of venture capital, I'm sure you've heard of this week, Panoramic VC Fund opened up, bringing $300 million into the community here in the rest of the Southeast and Midwest. What other opportunities do you see with technology that can kind of help with these kind of efforts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time to be in Atlanta. There's a lot of different ways I think I can answer that question in terms of tech. One that I want to kind of drill down on is around not necessarily scalable tech startups, but there's some interesting things happening on the tech-enabled small business side. I mean, fundamentally, I believe that small businesses are where we make the most change in this country in terms of driving economic development. This is nothing new, right? However, in the tech world, the venture capital space is all the press. What we're seeing in Atlanta is a fundamental effort to include those industries or some of the industries that make Atlanta great, right? So you're talking about film, media, sports, and the other forms of entertainment. You're talking about a lot of things on the consumer goods side. And so those type of entrepreneurs are killing the game. They're absolutely killing the game, but they're doing it a lot of times without technology and without a lot of the philosophies and methodologies that the startup founders typically, use all the time. And so now what we're seeing is this shift in helping those type of founders, one, leverage technology to scale a little bit. And we're not talking about becoming the next Google or Facebook or something like that, but they may be able to scale up to $10 million in revenue, $15, $20 million in revenue, depending on the type of company, by using some of these tools and also philosophies. And so I'm super excited about that. There have been some recent announcements about physical spaces opening up. You may have heard of Apple and some other companies' recent kind of investment into the Propel Center. I think, that has the ability to fundamentally change what's happening on the ground in Atlanta, particularly in the area by the stadium. So super excited about what's going on in the ecosystem. We're also seeing a lot of talented people move to Metro Atlanta because of the pandemic. They're coming from the New York, the Bay Areas, and they're bringing a few things with them. One, they're bringing their skill level. Two, they're bringing their connections, and they're also working for a lot of these top companies. Eventually, these individuals are going to spin out and do a few things. One, they're going to become angel investors because they're used to making $150,000, $200,000 a year, because of they're working in larger cities. And they're going to start, their own companies. And so that's only going to raise the bar when it comes to Atlanta overall, but especially for diverse communities.
As it is, the actual housing market is low as it is, so it's a very attractive city to come to. I mean, you're here. So.
Yeah, I mean, appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I've spent a few years out in the Bay Area as well, and kind of Atlanta, from before I moved to the Bay Area to Atlanta now, especially in the technology space, it's grown vastly. Like, the culture has changed, kind of, as you mentioned, the culture of kind of Silicon Valley is slowly trickling down into Atlanta, but I feel like we are still kind of retaining our own kind of the culture, our own kind of attitude that kind of keeps Atlanta its own flavor. So it's not necessarily copying and pasting what's going on over there, but it's kind of like trying to pick and choose, like, hey, this worked really well here. Let's see how we can kind of integrate that with our community, with our culture, to kind of see how we can be successful moving forward.
Exactly.
And it's a good idea when you think about it too as well, because Atlanta as a whole has a somewhat hustler mentality. So in a way, you're bridging the gap between the technology aspect and that mentality aspect, and just only things can rise from there. So yeah, that billion people is very likely, and it's a good dream to have. So leading into my next question, and I'm more interested in your answer to this question, because everyone can have a different answer when it comes to this, but name your most important purpose of starting a business.
The reality for me is, it was more of a calling. Like, my actual story, I went to school at Florida A&M University, studying accounting. My dream was to become a CPA and work for, at that time, one of the big 4 or 5 accounting firms. That was it. No intention at all of starting a company. And then I heard a voice in my left ear, literally, that said to do it. Long story short, I ended up launching my company in college. And so for me, my answer was listening to, I think, the voice that we all hear, right? As little kids, it started out as, don't do this or don't do that, things that your parents say, like the difference between right and wrong. And for me, it was about launching an idea that I had in the back of my head. And more importantly, having the courage and the discipline to just follow it. Going down this pathway that was dark, like walking in the forest at midnight with no moon. It's led me to what I'm doing today. Never would have guessed it, all these years ago, but that was my reason. It was a calling. I obeyed the calling, and, it's taken me in a lot of different kind of ways. But ultimately it is to make the world a better place.
And I mean, we've talked about kind of your goal of reaching 1 billion people to kind of help bridge the gap. And since you started, I believe, digital guest list in college, and I think you grew that to an 80,000 user base. What are some other success stories that you could share with us, like may help motivate people to kind of get into technology, or maybe, scale their businesses using technology?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a good example as it relates to just airports. A few years ago, with our programming at Goody Nation, we had an awesome founder in the program by the name of Jasmine Crow, and she had this idea to take food waste that was going to be thrown away from restaurants at that time and large events, and then use it to in an Uber-like fashion redistribute it to people in that are hungry. And so our program helped her launch it in 2017, and then we got an opportunity to work with Hartsfield Jackson on this program called ATL Thinks, which was basically a week-long hackathon where the winner of the challenge got an opportunity to do a pilot with Hartsfield, with ATL. And because we knew Jasmine and we knew the work that she was doing. They had a particular challenge around sustainability in all the food in the restaurant. It was a natural fit for her to join the competition. So this is another example about relationships in opportunity. And so we told her about the competition. She joined, she wins. She does a pilot with ATL. It goes over well, and now she's doing even more. She's spreading across the country. I mean, there's a lot of things to glean from that story, and I can go deeper into it. But that was the first big, I think, success story from our perspective that let us know that A, the relationship gap is real. Two, our process works. You know, putting people that are ready in the right position can lead to world-changing results, and in many cases save lives. So, you know, love the work of Jasmine Crowe, the entire Gooder team, but it really did start with ATL giving her an opportunity to save the world, and it was aligned with the business challenge, and that's the great part about it when you're talking about social impact. When you can align business challenges with making the world a better place, that's when we all win.
I think we're out of questions. I appreciate your time, Joey.
No, I appreciate this opportunity. Keep on doing your thing. Looking forward to seeing more of the show and stuff like that. And if there's any way that we can help, please reach out.
Next, we have the CEO of Futurist Labs, Annie Eaton.
Annie Eaton is an immersive content producer specializing in engaging and interactive virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. She currently serves as CEO of Futurist, an Atlanta-based software development company, and executive producer of Amoebus Labs, a virtual reality-focused game studio. As a Georgia Tech graduate, she stays involved in the Atlanta technology community, managing XR Atlanta, which now boasts over 1,400 members. Annie is also involved with Women in XR Atlanta, Women in Technology, and Young Entrepreneurs Council. She has been recognized by various organizations for her work in tech, including Women in IT, Rising Star Award, Women in Technology, Women of the Year Award, and Technology Association of Georgia, Young Professionals Technologist of the Year Award. Annie has vast public speaking experience, having been invited as a speaker for conferences, podcasts, educational institutions, and corporate events to share her love and knowledge for immersive technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Annie Eaton, CEO of Futurist and executive producer of Amoebus Labs.
So, from our understanding, you're involved with a lot of content creation with VR. Personally, I have a PlayStation VR. I use it to watch NBA games courtside. I've worked on Oculus stuff in the past, and it's becoming more and more, I guess, present in kind of day-to-day life. Like, more people have VR centers or setups. I think of here in Atlanta, there's Reverie Bar that has it's like a VR bar, or up in Sandy Springs, there's Battle and Brew, the gaming bar / restaurant. They have like a VR lounge. What kind of VR systems, or like where do you see them kind of being most present right now?
Yeah, we have seen quite a bit over the past, I guess, 7 years now that I've been working in this space, and it really has hit an inflection point starting, I guess, with the emergence of the Oculus Quest. So VR headsets have been pretty good quality for the past several years with things like the HTC Vive, or as you mentioned, PlayStation VR is another great one. But those were kind of limiting when it came to adoption, because usually it was the gamer crowd who already had a PlayStation or already had a gaming PC that could run the hardware. And so Oculus Quest 1, I guess it's almost 2 years now. It came out in May of 2019. And last year, the Oculus Quest 2 was released in October, and it completely surpassed the Oculus Quest 1 sales. I want to say I saw a stat about 5 times the amount of sales in that first month than the Oculus Quest 1. So that was sold out for Christmas and the holidays, and it's still growing in popularity. And they're now so passionate about their VR investment that they are already making the next one. I think they were leaking some information about that there's another one already in the works. So when you get to that point where consumers can have it and have access to it for that $300 price point, that's really where you see the inflection point. A lot of it is still in consumer gaming, but there are a ton of social experiences, things like Rec Room and AltSpace VR and even Facebook venues, they're all these virtual places where we can come together and be with each other while we can't physically be together. So I think that's another a way that VR is being exceptionally used over the past year. And I'm excited to see where it goes next. Of course, business use cases are still so powerful, and that's what my company does. But when you think about mass adoption, the gaming and immersive experiences like storytelling, that's where it's really starting to grow.
So with the crazy year of 2020 that we all experienced, how do you feel in terms of VR, how it can affect today's climate? And you briefly mentioned about gaming. So let's pretend like I'm not a gamer, pretend I'm someone who barely knows technology, barely know how to use an iPhone. How could this positively affect me in terms of my climate of today?
Yeah, I would go back to the social experiences, and they don't just have to be social for friends and family gatherings. They can be business focused as well. When we started to have to work from home, which my team was fortunate enough to be able to transition into since we develop software and that can be done remotely, we still had the missing of that in-person connection. And of course, there's only so much you can do with Zoom and Teams and WebEx. And it's great to see people's faces, but it's not the same as being in the same room as someone. We would start to have meetings, and we don't have them too often, but we would probably have about one a month where we would all meet in VR. It is a hardware investment because everyone has to have that headset. So I know that can be limiting for some. But when people do have a headset, it's really easy to just pop it on, get in the same room together. You can actually stand close to someone, which even though you're represented as a 3D virtual avatar version of yourself, it feels completely different than seeing a video stream on a two-dimensional screen. So I would say the ability to be in the same room and have that feeling of presence that you're in the same room as someone else can be huge, even for people who are not gamers. There are a lot of really great travel experiences as well. There is something called Wander. It's where a company had basically taken Google Street View and put it into VR, and you can go anywhere in the world that Google Street View can go, but see that in 360 in a virtual reality headset. I know that's something that I had showed to some of my relatives, aunts, uncles, and grandparents, and they were really excited. One of my coworkers took their grandparent to their house when they grew up. And it's something that they just would never be able to travel to right now. But they're able to go and have that kind of nostalgic trip to see where they grew up, see what it's like today. So there are a lot of really great non-gaming experiences out there that I think anyone could enjoy.
So kind of to speak to the example of being able to travel, I wouldn't say that necessarily it's disrupting the travel industry, but it's more like it's augmenting it, where it's giving people kind of a taste of what it would be like to travel somewhere. Right. So I guess in terms of other disruptions or maybe enhancements, we can call them, I'm thinking in the future, like this might be something great for schools and stuff. So like maybe costly school trips to museums or whatnot. Like if students have VR setups at school, it might enhance the learning ability. Like if I'm thinking of when I was a kid, we would take trips to the planetarium, and that would kind of make it kind of real on what you were learning about the solar system and whatnot. So that might be like a future application for something like this in the education space.
Yes, and you have to also think about it that it's breaking barriers when it comes to more socioeconomic limitations. So whereas, not every school has the financial opportunity to go on a field trip. Google a few years ago, unfortunately it's not as prevalent right now, but they had a kind of a little kit that they would take from school to school with VR headsets, and they'd be able to give students virtual field trips who may not actually be able to go on these field trips. So I think that's a huge, I guess we will call it an enhancement to the learning space, where you're breaking down barriers that people have had in the past, to where they now get the opportunity to be exposed to all of these things. There are some companies that are creating educational content that's their specialty. And I'm really excited about that. There is one that I experienced where I got to go on the Apollo 11 mission, and they're playing the actual audio that was the astronauts communicating with mission control, and you're sitting in the rocket with the astronauts, and you get to go up, and it shows you how quick that process is, because you think, oh, it must take forever to get out of the atmosphere and into the universe, and really the inflection point between our atmosphere and whatever is beyond is very quick to get up there. So being able to have that experience where you're in there and it's to the exact timing that they experienced in the 60s, that's crazy. And that's something you really can only do in virtual reality. So I'm hopeful that there will be funding put towards educational experiences, because they can be so powerful.
Wow. And not just the educational experiences too. Remember, we were talking about the entertainment industry, mainly in regards to, so for instance, if I decide to buy a courtside tickets for the Hawks game, that's probably going to run me, what, 5 to 10 grand? But I can just get NBA League Pass and I'll be right there courtside with my VR headset. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So in terms of 2021, what are your goals for this year?
Yes, well, I'm sure any business owners that are listening to this event know what a challenge it was last year, and I think I'm very hopeful that business is coming back in full swing in the virtual space. People came to quite the realization that technology does need to be invested in. Things that allow people to communicate while not physically together is a high priority, and because of that will be forever, basically. So we are getting a lot of interest and more serious interest, not just exploratory, but interest in people who want to bring a product all the way to commercialization in this space. So for my business, I'm excited about having to, I guess, pull a little less teeth to get people on board with virtual and augmented reality. We've always believed in it, but I'm really happy to see that other people now see the benefit and the positivity of this technology. We're doing a lot of focus on visualization tools. So we've done some architectural visualization tools where you can be inside of a building before it's built, and you can walk around. You can even go as far as to see if, the doors are high enough, or there's enough electrical plugs in the room, and really have those executives and stakeholders who are making the decisions and approvals have that immersive experience, so they can go back to the architects and say, okay, well, we like this, but this may need to be changed, which can save so much money in the long run. That's been one of my favorite projects to do, because we get to help people see what's not really there. We've done that on the augmented reality side as well. So people using their phones or tablets to be able to place items, whether it's furniture all the way up to construction equipment, in their space to see if it's going to fit or if it's going to perform the job properly. So I think really focusing on visualizing what you can't physically have in front of you is where our main focus is going to be this year.
Yeah, personally, I'm very interested in kind of augmented reality use cases. Like you mentioned, furniture. I recently purchased a home, and I was on West Elm's website on my phone, and they kind of had kind of what you were alluding to, where you can kind of place their furniture in your actual living space to kind of make these judgments on how things will look together. So I think, yeah, that's like definitely a great use case, kind of more on the consumer end of things.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's becoming more and more prevalent. I feel like it's gone beyond furniture. It started kind of with IKEA Place, and then Amazon, and then now, West Elm and some of the more specialty furniture companies have it. And we've taken it now on beyond to using it for large scale equipment for construction jobs. So, you have to see if that stuff is going to fit on your job site or even fit through a door. And a lot of it is really big and bulky. So it's great that these similar practices can be used between consumers and the business world.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, you think about the housing market too as well. I mean, with the current state of climate that we're in now, pretty sure a lot of people aren't leaving their homes, so I can easily put on the VR headset and say, hey, look at this actual property we want to purchase. So that's a pretty cool aspect of it too. Yeah. Hey, we're with you on VR.
Yes. Awesome. I love it.
Awesome. Like, you don't happen to remember your first VR AR experience, do you?
I do. I purchased, I think it was a Samsung Galaxy I think it was back before they did the 20 edition based on the year. I think it was like the 8 or 9. It came with the free Samsung VR headset. So
Where you snap your phone in?
yeah, I used to watch Netflix, and it gives like that weird but cool movie theater feeling, but you're by yourself in a movie theater. So this could be good and bad, but yeah, it was a pretty good experience.
Nice. I was gonna say like I would say on the augmented side where it clicked for me was Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Remember when we were working together and we would go on walks for Pokemon Go? And
Yeah.
that was like mass adoption across the board, I feel like.
When you think about it, that was the only app that actually got majority children in America outside. Like, no one's ever done that since.
It's fun and it'll get you exercise and get you outdoors. It was mutually beneficial, and there are actually still millions of people who play it every day.
Oh yeah.
The numbers are still really strong.
I'll never forget, I was leaving work one time, and it's unrelated, but a Snorlax popped up on my Pokemon Go, and I completely stopped in the middle of the street.
That's dangerous. You gotta be careful with that one.
Gotta be careful.
I guess that could be one of the disruptive things of technology.
That's true.
Yeah.
We are really excited that we are developing a VR game right now. Last year, with all of the changes, Futurist decided to spin off a game studio. So we also have Amoebus Labs, and I'm executive producer over there. And we have been developing a gardening game. It's got a little bit of fun decorating and world building and some really fun characters. And it is going to be launched later this year. We're going to be launching the first version hopefully later this spring, early summer. And so it's called Loam, and we will definitely keep you up to date if you follow us. But we're really excited because there aren't really that many good, relaxing, and really engaging world building games in VR. There are a lot of them on the computer, but we're excited to be one of the first in our category. So looking forward to releasing that this year.
Awesome. So that's going to be available on the Oculus?
Yes, we're going to be releasing it on Oculus Quest first, and then we'll be porting over to other platforms, potentially like Oculus Rift, as well as on Steam for Steam VR.
Hey, thank you for your time, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Next up, we have India Hayes, founder of MiniCity.
India Haynes has served those in need domestically and internationally for more than a decade. Prior to launching a tech resource hub for the homeless, assisting the homeless resonates personally with her because she has seen firsthand the effect of homelessness on citizens of Atlanta. She founded MiniCity, 2018 Startup Awards nominee for Best Social Good Startup, 2019 Startup Runway winner, 2020 NBC Comcast Universal Boomtown Cohort, Girl Boss 2020 winner, Revolt TV for the Culture 2020 winner, and TEDx Spotlight speaker. To directly assist the homeless, using her skill as a tech designer, Hayes knows the importance of clear, effective communication and sustainable efforts. That's why she utilizes her design skills whenever she can for social good and sustainability. She works directly with homeless shelters within Atlanta to further her mission and also find innovative ways to empower all people, particularly women, in shelters. Hayes feels that when you empower women, whether it be within the U.S. or overseas, an entire community is transformed. Mothers, daughters, and female leaders carry on tradition, and educating, aiding, and informing women is something that Hayes believes will make a community more sustainable and holistically sound. Hayes is a firm believer in social impact and tech for social good being feasible, viable, and most importantly, desired by communities in need. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome India Hayes, founder of MiniCity.
Thanks for joining us, India. Really appreciate having you here. Your smile and your excitement, I can feel it through the camera. So, hey, let's get things started. I've been reading up on MiniCity. It's a really awesome project and / company that you're starting, with the way you're helping the actual homeless in the community here in Atlanta, not just here in Atlanta, but also all of the United States too as well. I just have a question for you. We all live in this weird time of the pandemic. So how do you picture the company, how do you image your way of life after the pandemic is over with, in terms of like the insertion of new technology that we have and rely upon nowadays?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one, thank you for having me here. I'm super excited. But when I think of just the insertion of technology and how prevalent it is, even before the pandemic, and what it will look like after the pandemic, I think there's a real emphasis on just efficiency and safety. So that's been major. As a consumer, just seeing things on a small scale, going to the grocery store, you see how efficient it is to utilize curbside pickup or not really interact with others, or kind of seeing technology implemented to help protect all of our citizens. That's been really nice. Now, that's just a small, again, example on a consumer level. Of course, I'm a tech startup founder and adopter of technology. So I feel like when I think of MiniCity and other solutions that are leveraging technology to help make people's lives easier, to help make access to birth records or vital records easier, I think after the pandemic, a lot of the scale, the adaptability that technology brings can really help alleviate some of those pain points. So, just to take it back to MiniCity, before the pandemic, with customer onboarding or deploying our services, it would take, anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days, which is a pretty long time to do onboarding in person. Now, with the pandemic and everything going virtual, we've really seen an emphasis on doing virtual onboarding, quickly deploying services, getting our stuff out there. So I think there's a huge opportunity area post-pandemic to adapt a lot of these practices and make them the norm.
Awesome. Yeah. So kind of speaking to how the pandemic kind of accelerated the need and usage of technology, you kind of see it continuing to be the norm. So like these different techniques like curbside delivery, like personally, I don't think it's going to be, just gone as soon as everyone's kind of back out in the public. I think, for example, like grocery stores where they just kind of bring it out to your car for you, I think these things will continue on. So what other things about, I guess, pandemic adopted technologies do you see being widely adopted post-pandemic?
I think there's just a lot of services now that we're seeing can be deployed and made accessible through technology that, of course, was rapidly accelerated, like you said, during the pandemic, but we can really keep a lot of those practices. Visits to your doctor, telemedicine. There's been a boom in telemedicine, making visits more affordable, more accessible for everyone, and to help protect others. The pandemic is really brutal, but to be honest, the flu is really brutal. It claims a lot of lives. So I think this adoption of technology and making it more accessible and widespread can really stay, which is nice.
So outside of technology, how do you feel like the pandemic will affect the state of people with and without housing?
Yeah. So I feel like, again, prior to the pandemic, of course, the homeless are greatly affected by any small change in our nation, whether it's large or small, they're going to feel the effects of it on a city and a state level, nationwide. So during the pandemic, really seeing MiniCity deals a lot of times with chronically homeless. So people that are experiencing homelessness for decades on end. And I want to be fully transparent. We're not a housing provider. We provide ID to help people get housing, jobs, and so forth. But what we saw for the first time during this pandemic was a huge influx of individuals whom were experiencing homelessness that hadn't previously. Of course, so we see that on the news. You might see it in your own community or circles, but there was a huge influx in individuals who were maybe living paycheck to paycheck are now kind of plunged into homelessness. And we really have to, on a city and state level, look at ways we can leverage technology to make sure everyone is getting services so that when a pandemic, or I do not want to speak this into existence, but a war, anything happens, I know, but the world is crazy, but if anything happens, we're ready so that those that are most vulnerable aren't just totally pushed to the fringes. And those that are at risk for homelessness and unstably housed aren't just, all of a sudden plunged into despair.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that kind of the main focus of MiniCity is to help people get IDs so then they can take advantage of services that are offered that require kind of IDs and different things like that. Can you quickly kind of go over your process on how you're doing that using technology to make this quicker?
Yeah, absolutely. So MiniCity deploys a number of tablets all over Georgia actually we have one at the airport, from the airport to veteran service centers, youth shelters, and in 5 to 10 minutes, a homeless citizen can go up to the tablet and apply for a birth record. And so a lot of times people ask this, we don't create a MiniCity ID, we actually are getting state issued vital records that are certified. And our partner average was anywhere from, before the pandemic, was about 3 to 6 months. During the pandemic, it's been as long as 9 to 12 months to get a birth record.
Oh,
But
wow.
people just, I know, it's really long. And you really, I mean, no one, whether you're experiencing homelessness or not, we do not want to wait that long for anything. So yeah, we've really helped our partner sites kind of just step in and provide for them a really efficient and effective tool that's very accessible on tablets where they can just plug in and deploy to their citizens.
So the company started prior to the pandemic. So I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say 2018.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
it started actually in 2016
Okay.
with Goody Nation. So I know you guys are familiar with Joey from Goody Nation. It came out of one of his hackathons. But we had to take a year off to do a lot of customer discovery and do a lot of manual efforts and then digitize it. So, yeah.
Well, what triggered your purpose in terms of like giving you the vision to start this business?
So it was several things. One, I come from a family of community activists, individuals that were volunteering abroad as well as domestically. My mother, she started Youth for Social Change. My father was volunteering a great deal, my godmother. So it was definitely something that was instilled at an early age to give back. But when I moved I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina, but when I moved from Durham to Georgia, I really saw how, I would say, economic disparity is really great. Like if you could pass between a few miles within Georgia, between Midtown or Mechanicsville, and the average income is crazy. It could be $15,000 versus $100,000 average median income, which is wild.
Yeah.
So when I came from, coming from Durham, North Carolina, it was a small city. Now it's kind of, more booming. But when I came from Durham and attended SCAD and graduated, being a graphic designer by trade and working on these really cool campaigns, I did on a personal level feel a bit disconnected from my community. Women that walk different paths of life, but just not really engaging with them on a one-to-one level. So I feel like from the hometown I come from, while there might be a lot of differences in backgrounds or income, for the most part, you are connecting or seeing various women within your community on a daily basis. All of a sudden, it felt like I was plunged or kind of in a new city where that kind of line and class was more drawn. And so once again, just feeling a bit disconnected, I was like, you know what? I want to work in women's shelters. I want to hear the stories of women that are working or trying to get on their feet, in my community and get to know them better and provide help any way I can. So I was just working one-on-one, and then Joey from Goody Nation was on a panel similar to this back before the pandemic when we could meet in person. And he just was talking about hacking gentrification. How can we make our city more inclusive? And so I remember running up to him. I didn't know him. I was like, hey, I have all these ideas that I want to do. And he asked me to apply to his hackathon, or Goody Nation's hackathon. And that's where Rainy City came from. Just a local hackathon. We had to create a startup at the end of it. It was 6 months long, incubator as well. And so, yeah, that's how I got started.
Awesome. That's a great success story. Kind of coming out of this hackathon to kind of help build this company that affects our community in a positive way. What other success stories can you talk about that might help motivate the future generation of activists and technology startups?
Wow, there's so many. I mean, of course, working with actual individuals, you get so many success stories on a one-on-one level, which is phenomenal. And so I think some of my favorite ones, I won't use their names, but just to maybe bring up like where they're from. There was a LGBTQ couple from the West Coast. They were really awesome, pretty young, maybe in their early 20s, 2 women. And they had like a job opportunity, housing opportunity. They had so much stuff lined up, but they had no ID. And they were like, hey, we found out about Mini City from like a Vice article. We Googled you guys and we really need help. And so I love their story because they kind of were, of course, on hard times. They were living out their car, but they were, and also they gave me permission to tell this story, but it's, they really were looking for so much to kind of take those next steps, as we all are when we're like in our early 20s. And so we got them ID in like 2 weeks, and they were able to take those next steps to a job, look at their first apartment, which made me feel wonderful. But there's so many stories like that. Another one is a veteran He was living in Georgia, but he wanted to move elsewhere and get into the trucking industry so he could kind of drive around and kind of see the world. This is again before the pandemic, but he was able to get ID, get a birth record, start his dream job. He moved from Georgia, got an apartment, all this fabulous stuff, but he was a single father, and it just really meant a lot to him that someone was who didn't know him was helping him out. Yes, through technology, but there's always that one-on-one connection. So again, if you're budding, I would say, technologist, and you're wanting to work in social enterprise, and you're thinking of maybe your different reasons why, I will say one of the most rewarding things is actually hearing those stories and seeing, your technology actively help change someone's life. It's great.
That's awesome. That's pretty awesome. Hey, thanks. Man,
yeah.
I almost shed a tear right there in that last story. Thanks, India. I think that's it for questions in regards to us. Do you have anything for us you want to bring up or plug in any platforms or any other ventures you may be working on?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I would love for anyone who's watching or plugged in to please reach out to us, follow us. We always have the same tag or handle, Mini City ATL. And yeah, I mean, anyway, we meet people from all walks of life. So we're currently trying to roll out an ambassador program. So if someone is plugged into their community efforts and they want to give back or want to get involved, we are hiring as well as building out ambassadors. So please reach out to us. But yeah, thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much to all our great panelists for all the insight. And on behalf of the ATL Airport Chamber, we'd like to send out a special thanks to all our sponsors.
We will now turn over our virtual mic over to Carmelita Scott, President and CEO of ATL Airport Chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our board of directors, I would like to thank all of you for your continued support of the ATL Airport Chamber by attending our winter meeting, Top CEOs of Technology Symposium. This heartfelt thank you goes out to our members, corporate investors, in-kind investors, event sponsors, and chamber friends. I would also like to thank today's moderators, Mehul Patel and Redrick Young of Peachtree Devs, and all panelists. In closing out today's conversation, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. Remember, the new normal is a digital environment that highlights the Atlanta Airport region and Southern Crescent, fondly known as the South Side. As a Chamber of Commerce, our sole mission is to represent the interests of the business community and our constituents while making the airport region a place to live, work, play, and prosper. We do this through our programs and collaborative partnerships. We believe this pivot is timely and essential for the continued growth and vitality of the region. Please visit our website at www.airportchamber.com for important events and updates. Take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new videos. Thank you for your attendance at our virtual winter meeting, Top CEOs of Technology Symposium. Please remember to abide by the regulations of the new normal. Wash your hands, wear a mask, commit to social distancing, and consider getting a vaccination. Remember, you are special, and the ATL Airport Chamber wishes you well. Thank you.
D. Clark Harris Incorporated, founded in 1991 by Dorothy Harris, provides program, project, and construction management services. Do you know exactly what happens to your water before and after you use it? Many find out after attending their award-winning educational program at the Johns Creek Environmental Campus. Over 50,000 visitors have experienced millions of gallons of water going through the actual process and learned exactly what happens to their water. The program offers lectures, tours, activities, and internships educating on the various technologies and processes. This is just one of over $1.2 billion in projects. D. Clark Harris for your program, project, and construction management needs.
At Peachtree Orthopedics, we've been helping Atlantans feel better faster for over 65 years. With 8 convenient locations and same-day and Saturday appointments, you'll be enjoying life in no time. Come in today and let us help you feel better faster.
Right now, as cities prepare for the future of mobility, we are here. We're reimagining everything from the ground up. By rethinking the future of transportation, we are here to create the community that's important to you, to all of us.
Hello, I'm Michael Hightower, Managing Partner of the collaborative firm and founder and convener of South Metro Development Outlook. Yes, we are so excited about this year's conference, so join us on March the 18th for the 19th annual SMDO. And yes, we will be virtual. Our theme this year is SMDO 21 Moving Beyond. Before I preview the conference, I must thank our present and past sponsors for their support. Especially this year, I want to start by thanking and recognizing our presenting sponsor, the Development Authority of Fulton County, and they really stepped up during these times. So thank you to the Development Authority of Fulton County for stepping up during these challenging times to make sure this conference can be provided to our citizens. In addition, Georgia Power and Elevate Douglas are our premier sponsors, so thank you to those entities. SMDO 21 Moving Beyond will be a great event which will include acknowledgement of our many frontline warriors in the healthcare industry, firefighters, public safety employees, those heroes who've served us. Also, the retail food industry and logistics and supply chain. Our annual virtual SMDO 21 conference on March 18th will be focused on successful South Metro businesses and corporations that have continued to thrive in these economic times, but also a special focus on small businesses, those businesses who have provided excellent service and reinvented themselves during these times. They've also provided some best practices that we'll highlight. In addition, during the conference, we will also focus on transportation and aviation, logistics in South Metro, which plays a significant role in this economy, our annual economic forecast, which allows the blueprint for business sustainability in the future and this year. In closing, given the challenges with COVID-19, this year's virtual conference will provide valuable information for our attendees as we move forward and beyond. As we turn the corner from COVID-19 and move beyond the pandemic, we are going to be ready for the days ahead. Join us on March 18th. Yes, SMDO 21, Moving Beyond.
At Georgia Power, we believe a house is more than just a home. It's the foundation for a future. That's why our employees volunteer thousands of hours of their own time to build and repair homes with Habitat for Humanity. After all, what we do off the grid is just as important as the clean, safe, reliable, affordable energy we provide on it. And that's a different kind of energy.